Hi, guys. In the art we've seen so far of Kerrigan as a human, we've seen her in her suit that glows blue and glows orange. Is there a significance to those colors? And in the Blizzard manual here for BlizzCon, it shows her arm transforming back into Sarah Kerrigan as the Queen of Blades. Can you talk about that at all?
We can't really talk about that stuff without giving away any kind of story hits. So we just have to say stay tuned, and yeah, I mean, obviously the whole expansion is focused on Kerrigan, so we try to do as much as possible to make her stand out and be unique and add even more depth to her character, but we can't really tell any details.
Your observations are not in vain. You're onto something.
Hi, question about the engine. You talked about making low quality looking better than before. Are you doing anything to make higher quality for people who on high-end graphics cards look better? And in a related question, what are you guys looking for in DX11, and what do you think of using that?
Yeah, we're always looking to expand on every quality level. So there's certainly things that we're going to improve. So the cinematic scenes in particular would use these special effects on Extreme that we add in a patch. So we're kind of looking if we can actually transport some of these advanced features from the cinematics to the in-game stuff. So we're kind of still deciding that out, but there's definitely going to be improvements there. And then as far as DX11, we've been kind of looking into it. I've worked on DX11 porting the game. It takes a while, and we can still achieve a lot with DX9 still, and that everybody has access to this. But yes, we're definitely looking into this, though I couldn't give you exactly when that would happen, that we would move over to DX11.
I saw that there were going to be a lot of new mechanical units. Can you go into some detail about the drivers of those vehicles?
Phil, you want to handle this?
Are you referring to the Hellion and the Merc Commander and stuff like that?
Yeah.
The Merc Commander, the Warhound, sorry, we've changed the name a couple times. The Warhound is more of a seasoned, kind of surly looking, higher up military figure, so he'll have a bit of the battlecruiser captain flavor, but light. And I believe the new Hellion is going to kind of be a bit more of the same, but a little sexed up and stuff like that. And the Shredder is essentially just a drone robot, so I'm sure we're going to get something very similar to the Mule portrait. I don't know yet.
And for the Protoss units, like the ships?
The Protoss ships, we definitely have a couple new Protoss portraits we've made that have Protoss pilots. One of them, we're looking to put another female character in the cockpit of one of the ships to get more female Protoss presence. And the replicant is essentially a robot, so we're probably going to have something similar to the Phase Prism portrait for that.
I just want to thank you guys for showing us the tech behind some of this and how long it takes for a game to come. I actually don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done and put into this game so we can play it.
What's your name?
Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks.
All right, I actually have two questions. The first question is if anybody here has been following the development of Wings of Liberty before that was released, the Carrier was replaced by another unit called the Tempest. You know, exactly somewhat like the one that you have here, except it's now a Carrier, or it was back then a Dark Templar Carrier. My question is, or my first question is, what exactly inspired you to shift away from the recolored Carrier Tempest that you were going to use back then versus the half Corsair, half Star Relic model that you're using now?
That's a great question. I'm glad you actually noticed the old Tempest. It's a kind of funny story. We were first putting everything together. We had the press come out, and we said, hey, cool, here's our new units, and the Tempest was one of them, where we said, okay, you know, we like the Carrier. He's a great classic unit. It's one of my favorite ones. But like, we need to put a new spin on him for, you know, for the sequel, obviously. So we made the DT version. He had like little shurikens instead of interceptors, and it was in the build for about 3 weeks. And by the time the magazine came out with all the new previews, he wasn't even in the game anymore. So I think one of the reasons was that unit was still a carrier in a lot of ways, where you could build specific units, and it kind of, I mean, it looked the same. It was just the whole DT spin on it. In this case, we're like, okay, let's get a totally different mechanic, and it really replace them, you know, wholeheartedly instead of just a little cosmetic twist.
Yeah. And my second question is, how big of a backlash do you think you're going to get from taking out the carrier again, because it didn't work out so well the first time. So maybe a second time will be the charm?
You know, I have a lot of faith in our designers, and we play a lot of games internally, you know, testing this stuff out, and it's a blast. I mean, I've heard repeatedly, like, this is the best StarCraft has ever been, so I just have a lot of faith that we'll continue testing it. We'll go through the whole beta phase, of course, get all your guys' feedback, and again, please check it out on the floor yourselves, and give us as much feedback as possible.
Hi, do you guys know if map makers are going to have access to that physics engine when we're making custom abilities?
Yeah, you're going to get access to all that. And the previous panel had the Star Tools thing, so you'll be able to make your own models, rig them up, and even like take different models and actually build, like the Terratron, right? The Terratron was kind of a building different models. You could probably mesh a whole ragdoll kind of setup with that kind of thing.
Hi. So I know that StarCraft 2 is optimized for dual core, and I think that's because the game's kind of old. Like the design's been going on for a long time. I was wondering if Heart of the Storm's going to be optimized for tri-core, dual core, or quad core.
Yeah, we actually didn't specifically target dual core. It's just that happened to be how it kind of balanced out, right? And there's actually more than 2 cores, but yeah, the third and the fourth one is actually very low. So this is a constant process. It's not necessarily just going to be Swarm. Wings of Liberty, we're going to patch it up, and as we make performance upgrades, Wings of Liberty will get the same thing. So the answer is yes, we're going to target more cores. As we just need to kind of recode some of the engine to take advantage of that.
Thanks.
Yeah, one of the cool things I like about the Protoss is the Dark Templar unit, and he has 2 separate models. And I was wondering, in the future, do you think that could be something a little bit more common, spread throughout all of the other different races?
When we built the Dark Templar, we realized that the potential to do duplicate units like that was partially because he's cloaked, and he's a rather vague unit. So your first visual read, you're like, oh, okay, I'm seeing something cloaked, so it's Dark Templar-like. A lot of our other units, we can't take those advantages because if we change the physique too much, it doesn't look like what it was a variation of. If we change the Marine too much and change the shoulder pad shapes and the other proportions, people start going like, well, is it a Marine or a Marauder? And we have to be really careful in doing that. The benefit of the Dark Templar being cloaked basically gave us free reign to say, well, you only see him at 50% opacity anyways, so if he's slightly different shaped and has a different look, we can kind of get away with it because the cloak will tie it all together. It's really tricky, and believe us, we want to do that stuff. We don't get too many opportunities to do that without breaking the game. You can even see it with mercenary units and Wings of Liberty. If we use mercenaries and mix them in with the regular units, it'd start getting really muddy really fast.
What about something a little bit more simple, like separate textures, where like there'd be, like on a Terran Marine, he'd have battle damaged armor, or maybe some different writing or something on there?
On that front as well, we've done texture variations like that. If you open up the Goliath in Wings of Liberty, he has a few different variations. The main factor is, though, our game has to have a readability in multiplayer because it's so competitive, and design is really leery of us making those alterations because the pros have to see the exact same Marine they always see. And even slight variations, they said, let's not even risk that. And yeah, there's a lot of potential there. I'd love to see it, but unfortunately, we have to make a really tight game for the pros and for a design sensibility that art-wise we have to compromise.
So I haven't had a chance to play the Blizzard Dota yet, so if this has been addressed, I apologize. But when you click on the heroes, will they have any speech, or when they attack, say, have some kind of vocal charge?
No music, no, I'm just kidding. Actually, we're spending a lot of time right now with the sound department making some really cool dialogue for them. So they'll have all the so-called piss lines where you click on them a bunch of times to get funny things. They'll have all their typical unit acknowledgments. It's probably hard to hear on the floor right now. They have the headphones, but we have some of that stuff in. There's a whole list I just saw the other day of really cool interactions. So like when you're running down the lane, the witch doctor might look over, or not look, he might say over to Nova, hey, when's your game coming out? You know, things like that, and make fun of it. So we can actually have fun within the universe as well. And I think just the fact that we have all 3 universes and all our past ones to work from just gives us that more ammunition for having cool dialogue. So it's definitely coming.
Why are the wow, that's weird. Why is the Tempest and the Carrier mutually exclusive from a gameplay point of view? It seems like they have very different. It seems like they have different roles.
You know, that's a good question. We needed a designer. Yeah, you know, I can't answer that too much. I mean, I just know that they put a lot of thought into it because we wouldn't just, you know, offhandedly, you know, take out anything from the game, especially one that's been in there since the old original StarCraft. So we're still testing a lot of things out. So it's not to say this is final, but as of right now, they felt that was the best way to utilize it. And it could be, I'm speculating a little bit here, but it could be because some of those things don't get used as much in tournaments, and so they want to try and make things that are more practical and actually get used more often.
Yeah, we need a designer to answer that. I could tell you how to program them.
I figured you would need a designer. I just thought I might as well ask.
I just want to ask a question elaborating on what you said about the voices. Would the units also be casting jives over to the opposite team? Like say Illidan and a Lich King were fighting in the same lane. Would they talk to each other and, you know, throw jabs?
I'm not sure exactly what the plan is, but it's definitely possible from a tech point of view, and so I'll definitely bring that up with them. I think it's easily doable, so we'll see.
Yeah, they actually are, from what I saw last, is they're planning on doing that where Arthas and Illidan would be like, I thought I killed you. And so the flavor is definitely there. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up with interaction.
We still have time for more questions if anyone wants to jump in line.
I just wanted to see if there's any plans to change some of the Boro Movement animations. I saw the Baneling Boro move, and it's kind of...
What are you saying, dude? Come on. You're calling us out?
Yeah, it's just the Baneling.
Don't be a hater.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I mean, we're always refining the look of the game. I mean, we actually go through so much iteration. For every animation we do, we probably throw out 2 or 3. So, you know, it's not final. We'll keep working on it.
I like the ultra.
Thanks.
I'm wondering if anyone on the team has put special focus into optimizing either Wings of Liberty in Patchwork or Heart of the Swarm for OS X so that it doesn't melt my computer.
That's a feature.
So we have a separate Mac team actually handling those, and they're currently mourning Mr. Jobs. But I don't know, I'd have to ask them. I can definitely pass the message that, what's your name again?
Dan.
I'll tell them Dan is suffering, and hopefully they'll be able to do something about that.
So we noticed that in WoW, the dances, they're inspired by something, but is some people's art, like, you know, a certain Kerrigan or anybody, referred to a certain face in Blizzard or something like that, where it's funny, or do you have any funny stories about that or things like that?
I don't know. You got any?
I think there's a few slash dances in Dota, or Blizzard Dota, where we reference like the rerun dance for the Abomination, a few things like that. We have an animator who really likes to look at funny reference for things like that.
Hello, my name is AJ. I was just wondering, were you guys thinking about adding in, let's say, Archon for a tank unit in Dota? I know there wasn't a per se hero for the Archon since I think 1, but I was wondering if that crossed your mind at all.
The hero agenda is going to be really interesting, and like I said, we're still developing it in a sense, and we do not know where we're going to draw the line between giving a character a unique hero or making a hero have a variation. For example, taking the Abomination and making him maybe look like the Butcher from Diablo. So we're still deciding where all those boundaries are going to be, and we definitely recognize there's a lot of really key characters, and yeah, an Archon hero would be awesome, and maybe it'll get its own unique hero. Maybe it'll be a skin and be like, check out my siege tank. It looks like an Archon. What? So we don't know yet. I mean, we're definitely experimenting, and it could be really cool. We'll see what happens.
Hey guys, I didn't have a question until you were talking about like the specific key like things that they say to each other in the lane or like when they're fighting and stuff. just like a light suggestion, you could do like death ones too, because like the funniest part of like League of Legends is when they die and they do something all crazy. Maybe like if Arthas killed Illidan, he says something like "I still hate you" or I don't know, like
That's
death
totally
voices.
Cool. Yeah, I can see that. That's a good idea.
Hey, I was playing Zerg in StarCraft 2 Heart of Storm, and I noticed that the icons for Roach Speed and Boro Movement were swapped. When do you guys plan on changing that?
Oh man, that one came back. I will personally take it up with Samwise again.
Oh, okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I haven't had a chance to play Blizzard Dota, but I was wondering if some of the original voice actors are on tap to get the voices back for some of the characters you have planned.
Glenn Stafford and I were talking about it outside yesterday, and they definitely want to try and get the actors for Arthas and Illidan, and they're going to make the effort to try and get all those guys back. It's the plan.
Something that always kind of blew my mind with the original game is how the replay files was basically a list of commands and how the engine would kind of parse through that and display the replay. I'm wondering that if during development and all that, if you had any issues or any struggles with getting that all to match up with each consistent replay. Does that make sense?
Do you mean with replays of the older games, or?
No, with replays, like the replay files for multiplayer matches.
Right, I'm not sure I understand, like...
Making sure that the replay syncs up with the actual what happened the first time, right? Just making sure the simulation is the same.
Yeah, how the AI kind of parses through the replay file and kind of just shows you what the game was without actually having, a video of the game.
Right, well, StarCraft is entirely deterministic, right? There's no random factor, so as long as we have all the commands at the proper time, there's really, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's pretty straightforward to rebuild the sequence of everything that happened if you know every single click and every single thing that happened.
I'm just wondering, was there any challenge with producing that AI to be able to, do that? And it seems kind of awesome to me, so.
Yeah, Dave, the AI guy, was hidden in his office for months working on that. So it wasn't, I can imagine it wasn't straightforward. But as far as the specific challenges, you would have to be the one to answer that.
Thank you very much. The game is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I was wondering with StarCraft Dota how far you're willing to take some of the jokes with like the heroes. Like if you would get permission from say Day 9 to make a Day 9 hero unit, if that proves popular, since they, are part of StarCraft, so many people think of them like an Artosis, tasteless Archon.
I could totally see it. We have one aspect of it that you might not notice on the floor right now is there's stands, like stadium stands. There's lots of fans. There's even like a little TV with a video of the game they're watching. So it kind of feels like a sport. And so I could actually see us making at some point some announcers that are, tasteless and Artosis up there doing that aspect. And then the other part, I'm sure we could probably make that happen.
Yeah, the sessions for references and jokes that I've been in, they get pretty out of hand, and we are definitely looking into Scotty references for the Witch Doctor and the Blade Master saying, "I don't think the last samurai would be a Scientologist." I mean, those are just light ones too. Like, it gets really out there, and the stuff is coming. We have some pretty good guys putting their heads together on that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I had a question about unit models. I always thought that one of the things that made Warcraft 3, the custom map editor, such a fertile creativity tool was that there were not only the 4 playable races, but a few dozen creep races. You had an endless menu of unit models you could use. Pretty much anything you wanted to make, there was a model that looked kind of like it. Whereas StarCraft 2, it's a bit more focused menu, even with the campaign-only unit models like the Zerg Leviathan, that kind of thing. I was wondering if any time in the future we could see a little bit broader menu of models in the StarCraft 2 editor.
I definitely agree. The palette of StarCraft 2's characters and stuff are a bit more limited than Warcraft, but we're also driving a completely different direction with the story. And essentially, we're meeting the needs of the story, and when the story doesn't go to places where we need that diversity, we're simply not going to make it. And the turnaround time for the art we're producing is tremendously longer compared to what we did in Warcraft 3. So we have a lot of limiting factors that unfortunately can't let us appease the need for more variety, but we definitely do like stepping out of those boxes. I mean, half the reason Blizzard Dota is so much fun for us is because we get to switch from a future army game to an iconic hero game. And so when we get more opportunities like that, more art will be produced, and time will tell.
Hey guys, you're doing a really great job. I just want to say that from seeing what you guys have produced. I had some simple questions. When the game launches, do we have to pay for it like DLC, or is it going to be free? And will you continuously release characters that we have to pay for?
Currently, the plan right now is to, it's very up in the air. We want to release some form of free version, though. And it will be downloadable. It won't be, I don't think we're talking about boxes yet. We might put in the starter edition, for one thing, but we're still kind of talking about that stuff. But there are definite plans to make it, free to play in some form. And then we're definitely, it's up to the community how popular it is and how much we support it. So if it takes off, absolutely we're going to support it.
Additionally, when we when people buy the full version of Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm, there'll be benefits to that. So you can start playing for free, and then just like Alan said, and then when you buy full versions of the game, we'll be doing exclusive Dota stuff for people who actually want to buy the game and get on the ladders and stuff like that.
And does that mean there's going to be a ladder to Dota, Blizzard Dota?
Yeah, we have all the BattleNet features you're used to, or I'd say most of them. We're going to be on there with rankings and matchmaking, ladders, all that stuff.
We have time for one more question.
So first of all, I'd like to thank you for making such an awesome game. I can't stop playing this game even at work, and sometimes my boss just hates it when I keep playing this game.
He doesn't know what's good for you.
Yeah, I know. I tell him I'm a programmer, and I tell him this is good for me because this is really good. It shows there's a lot of polish in what they do. So
Well, you're getting your actions per minute up. That helps you with the programming.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know if this question relates to you exactly, but if you bought the collector's edition, you would get a custom skin on the tour. Was wondering if you knew there was going to be a custom skin for this edition of the game, and which unit it might be.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about that yet internally. I mean, we definitely want to do that. We love giving the fans even more just fun and some just geeky love there, but I'm not sure what details are yet. You guys talked about it?
We've thrown ideas around, but that stuff happens so last minute that I can't give you an answer until we're ready to ship. That Thor pet for WoW probably happened in like 2 days. Last minute, trust me. Super last minute.
How about one last round of applause for our panelists?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for attending the StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm Art and Technology panel.
Hey,
one more little thing to show you guys.
Please.
Awesome.
We had something, but there.
Oh, here we go.
Woo!
So here's a little sneak peek from one of the campaign missions.
Nothing's playing on the main screen.
This is Kerrigan before she has her coffee in the morning. I think it's awesome. They did a great job on that. And we can't tell anything about it, though, so you have to wait till the game comes out. But anyway, thanks again, guys.
Thanks, guys.